The bids are in, the gavel is dropped, ladies and gentlemen. Here at WineBid, we are finally hammered. That's right. This is WineBid podcast, taking at all things wine value, wine auctions, wine retail, and just wine. I am Jeff McGurn on the WineBid marketing team. With me, as always, is the illustrious wine expert Paul Walker, also known as the connoisseur of Charbonneau. That's right. He knows everything there is to know about wine. He's an expert. Today, we're going to be talking about our U.S. wines coming into auction, of which...
You said U.S. wines. Okay, yeah. So that's most everything we can find from domestic.
And we have a ton of domestic stuff. I'm going to jump right into it because there is so much.
We do try to sort of pay attention to all the new wines that come into the auction. I think this week there were 77 pages of new wines, at least yesterday. There's probably more now. So I did want to say that most everything is live on Sunday night. It goes live at 7:15 Pacific. There are wines added throughout the week. Generally speaking, most everything is up by Monday night, Tuesday morning. There are occasions where things are added later in the week, but generally speaking, everything is in sort of close to the beginning of the week. So it always pays to check the new wines if you're looking for something in particular, or if you haven't favorited those wines. And then as far as Finally Hammered is concerned, we always like to review as much as possible that comes through the auction every week, but we rarely get to all the regions we wanted to describe, and we do our best each week to do so. But be sure to check the picks that we post on the blog on the homepage, because there are links to everything that we actually select from the auction each week. So just wanted to make note of that before Jeff launches into California.
Thank you so much. I think it's always important to remind ourselves of that. Now I'm going to launch into California. We had 77 pages of lots coming into auction. At least that's the last time I checked. Like Paul said, it's probably more right now. So there's a ton of stuff. So I actually tried to keep my picks reasonable. There's a ton of sine qua non, right?
There is. And it goes back like 10 years, I think, too. Like 2020 back to 2013, maybe even a little earlier than that.
Maybe even a little earlier than that. There is a ton of ridge, but I would just recommend people steer clear of the ridge. Like I would just, who knows what,
Yeah, you just want to buy it all.
Who knows how good it is?
Well, you're a little slow because there's a lot of bids on it already.
Yeah, I know, dude. There's a ton of bids. And I was looking through, like, going like, I got to bid on that. I got to bid on that. I got to bid on that. There's so much good ridge coming into auction. A lot of stuff from the advanced tasting program. There's just a million bottles. I will be going through and bidding on a bunch of them because they're so stinking delicious. I'm not going to go through every single one, but just...
No, I won't either, because I've got way too many.
There's just way too many. There's a ton of Realm coming into auction as well. Yeah. And like everything, Beckstoffer, Dr. Crane, a bunch of those, Beckstoffer, Tokalon.
I did want to point out, while you mentioned Realm, that there are 2 magnums of the Cabernet Franc.
I was just going to mention those.
Yeah, that's the rare allocation. I think you have to be on the mailing list for a long time to be allocated one of those. And I can't remember. I think there's a 15 and 16 mag, but I think 13 was the first vintage. I don't remember for sure. But anyway, those aren't easy to come by.
But yeah, we have something like 95 lots of Realm coming in auction, so if you like Realm, like there's a good chance we've got something for you. Getting into a couple of before I get into individual bottles, tons of Silver Oak, like a bevy of Silver, 94 cab and mag and 7, and then a 95 Alexander Valley cab, and we've got that in a 3 liter as well, 96 and in a mag.
Yeah, some pretty rare formats of Bonnies also, because a few weeks ago we had a collection similar to this, except not with the same breadth of large formats. We had old Bonnies, which is very cool. There was a bunch, I think, from the 80s and 90s, but they were mostly 750s. Whereas this collection, I actually only flagged the large format bottles because there were so many. But there's an 82 3-liter of Bonnies, which I don't think I've ever seen before. 84 mag of Bonnies, 84 3-liter, 90 Bonnies mag. So lots of very cool old wines. And then there's a 74 in there also, 74 North Coast Cabernet, 750 milliliter for 205, which, as I've been scanning the auction for 74s for a big upcoming event, they are not cheap. And this I thought was actually quite reasonable, 205 for a 74 Silver Oak. So I've never had that either. I don't know if there's a bid on it. It might be too late. Anyway.
There's just a ton of stuff. Couple of interesting bottles, I thought. 87 Heights Martha's Vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon. We have 5 of those for $230 a piece. We also have the 84, 86, 92, and 01. I didn't think $230 was crazy for an 87 of that. We also have, speaking of 87s, we have the 87 Mondavi Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon for $190, which actually one of them already has a bid on them. We have 6 of those. We also have 88, 90, 91, 94, 95, 96, 97, 99. So that those were like super cool.
Multiple bottles of each, I think. Vintage.
Yeah. I picked out this Aubert UV Vineyards Pinot Noir for $140. That's something I sort of have my eye on. And then we've got this Dunhill Mountain Cabernet Sauvignon. Another one that I sort of have my eye on right now. This one is, we have 6 of them at $200. 2014 Continuum Proprietary Red has a bid on it for $175 up to $185. This 90 Montelena Estate Cabernet Sauvignon, we've got 2 of those for $160.
That was their 1990. I didn't even see that. 1990.
Yeah, I thought that one looked.
That's cool. Yeah.
Super duper cool. And then the 2016 Peter Michael Au Paradis Cabernet Sauvignon for $145. And
steal.
That's a steal. And we've got a bunch of Peter Michael stuff, 55 lots of Peter Michael. I mean, so we've got the Au Paradis, we've got some Belcote Chardonnay from 96, 05.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I'm glad you mentioned those because there's also kind of like a vertical. There is a vertical actually of the Cuvée Indigène Chardonnay, which went back in the day. This was another one of those, mailing list only wines, and very hard to get certain allocations of the different, different designations. And Cuvée Indigène was kind of like the Point Rouge. I think Cuvée Indigène I think it came out before. I can't remember for sure, but anyway. There's 90s vintages, which, believe it or not, are still drinking quite well. I actually had the 99 and the 98 recently. They were fantastic. So no, these wines age remarkably well. They're also not terribly expensive when you consider, the cost of recent vintage Chardonnays they're probably like twice as much now. I think that 95 is at 71 and 96 is at 85. So they're all under $100. And there's a whole bunch. There's Montplaisir as well from the mid 90s, late 90s. So all kinds of great Peter Michael. Oh, and 3 liters of Les Pavots, which is another, very limited allocation winery only bottling, 97, 2000, 2003. I mean, those are amazing, amazing wines. They're not that expensive.
No, everything is fairly reasonably priced. I'll mention we've got 2015 Dalla Valle Maya coming into auction at $350. I thought that one didn't seem too crazy to me for Dalla Valle. A bunch of Alpha Omega coming to auction this week, 24 lots, 07, 08, 010, 18 AVA Collection Yountville Cabernet Sauvignon, the 06 Omega Beckstoffer Tokalon Cabernet Sauvignon, the 07 Beckstoffer Tokalon, the 06 Alpha Omega Cabernet Sauvignon, and the 08 and the 10 and the 06 Alpha Omega Air. I mean, like, just a bevy of Alpha. If you're into Alpha Omega, we've got a bunch of it coming to auction.
Got anything to choose from, basically.
Anything to choose from. I'm not even going to read any of the Turleys coming to auction. There's so many of them. If you like Turley, and I love Turley, we've got you covered. There's like a massive amount of Turley, all different kinds of cool stuff coming to auction, from Zinfandels to Syrahs, Petit Syrah, and all this cool stuff. 2013 Staglin Booth Bell.
I was going to mention those. I wonder if you saw there's like a little vertical of Magnums, right?
Yeah.
13, 14, 15.
Like 300 a piece, right?
Are these, I'm wondering, I didn't do any research because obviously didn't have any time, but is this like a Magnum only release? Because I don't recall seeing this Bella Oaks bottling in 750s. I mean, it's just weird to see that only in mags, because there aren't 750s of it in the auction, right? It's just these magnums, I think. There's other Stagland, but I don't see other Bella Oaks Stagland. That's why I was kind of curious if you knew, because I know you're a Stagland fan. So
I am a Stagland fan. It looks to me like they did release 750s.
Okay.
And I'm just going based off of looking at like photos others have in Cellar Tracker.
Okay.
And
yeah, definitely 750 milliliters.
Those look like 750s to me.
Yeah, they do.
Like those are.
Yeah, I see it. I see it on the picture, 750 ml. So okay, so they made. It's interesting because just to see, a trio of vintages all in mags is pretty wild. They're not cheap compared to the other wine too that they make, because I feel like magnums of the estate Cabernet are not, over 300 a piece. Well, I guess the 15 is 270. That's not bad, but
yeah, I mean,
anyway, very cool, rare little collection there.
I would say it's not cheap compared to other Stagland bottles, but I still feel like for Napa Stagland, there's some value because I think it's really high quality juice for comparatively reasonable price when you compare it to some of their neighbors in the area and some other big producers. I picked up got my eye on this 2014 Alban Vineyard Seymour's Vineyard Syrah.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of Alban, huh? Yeah,
there's a bunch of Alban coming to auction. The 2012 Lael J. Daniel Cuvée for $205. We got 5 of those. I have my eye on that. The 2012 Beau Viognier Cult Cabernet Sauvignon for $175. We have a bunch of the Beau Viognier coming into auction this week. And then the last one that I sort of had on my list of things to watch, again, there are just so many things this week. We have a ton of Domaine Carneros coming to auction this week. So like 14 Blanc de Blanc, 16, 17, 02, Carneros Brut, 14 Brut, 15, 16, 94, Brut 2000 mag for like $71, 13 Carneros Clonal Series. I mean, there's like, if you like Domaine Carneros, it's like a who's who of releases from... I mean, it's like Le Rev and limited barrel selection.
Yeah, okay. I did see all that Le Rev. Okay, that's all new this week too. Huh, that's cool.
Ultra Brut.
Le Rev is good. It's good.
I like Domaine Carneros. Like, I think they make some solid.
Oh no, it's great. It's great.
And the prices are pretty darn reasonable, all things considered. Yeah. And you've got some interesting old stuff, like the fact that they've got that 94 Carneros Brut for like $71 in a mag.
Oh, the Millennium Special mag. It's got all the fireworks on it.
Somebody's getting a Domaine Carneros Brut 2000 mag for their birthday next year.
Year 2000. That's really funny.
They made
Y2K bottling. Well, yeah, no, that's cool.
It's some interesting stuff.
Yeah, I'll probably get bid up, actually, I would imagine, beyond $71.
I would think so, too. I'd be curious to taste it, because I think at that price, like, that's not an unreasonable price to try sort of a nice aged bottle of American sparkling.
That's true. Yeah, but it's good.
Wine. What do you got? What did I miss, Paul? I know I missed a bunch of stuff.
I'm not going to list everything. I have hundreds of selections here. There's a bunch of a tribute to Grace wines, which I really, really like.
Oh, I saw a ton of
everything to do. I love the Grenache, and there's Grenache Blanc, which I don't think I've ever seen.
You never seen Grenache Blanc? I've seen it many times. It's very good.
For a tribute to Grace.
I'm a little bit surprised that you've never seen it before. It looks like a normal white wine.
Okay. Yes, it is. You're right. It's not normal. It's fantastic. And there's...
What does it look like? You've never seen it before, so... is what you said.
I drank more Grenache Blanc than you even know. Anyway.
Well, you should open your eyes.
There's Blancs Noir. Let me get through.
Hold on. Can we move on?
It's going to take all day.
I feel like we've spent enough time on a tribute to Grace. Let's move on to something else.
I'm just saying, there's sparkling wine, there's Grenache Blanc, there are varieties that you do not see, and they will probably disappear because there's only a few.
And I don't know that we need to talk about it.
Okay, God, all right. You want
I
to
know
buy?
we need to talk about it. Okay.
Yeah, just stop talking for a minute. And
Because I don't want anybody to
I won't mention
outbid
that.
me. I don't want to.
2013 Oakville Cabernet.
I don't want anyone to outbid me on my trip to Graceland. No, I did bid on a couple. I purposely was not mentioning the tribute to Grace stuff because I bid on some of it. It's so good though. It's so good.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. The Grenache is really, really good. It's an excellent wine. And it's all younger stuff. It's like 17, 18. So sparkling wine should be great. I've obviously never tasted it, but there's some Eris wines, which is the Reese production, and they are growing Italian varieties in Sonoma and Italy and selling both. And so I think the Mountain Vineyard Brico Rosso, I've had the 17, actually. I thought it was excellent. It's from Sonoma Mountain, I believe. And there's 17 and 18. That stuff is great. And then the Caricante Bianco as well from Sonoma is also. So it's interesting. And I think the wines are delicious, and they're not, it doesn't get a whole lot of attention. And then there's also the Etna. So the Etna, the Italian version, Etna Bianco Superiore, is also available from Eris in this week. It's a little bit more, the 14 and 16. Yeah, there's just a ton of great large formats. Amuse-Bouche, Van Perdue 5 liter. As we mentioned earlier, there's a bunch of Peter Michael 3 liters and Silver Oaks and all those kinds of things. Some Anthill Farms, which don't come in that often. Some great Ristus Chardonnays.
Anthill Farms is like really good stuff, and I feel like it's very reasonably priced.
Yeah, it's tasty. They're, I would say, balanced traditional wines. They're great restaurant wines. I think, where was I? They're pouring 18. I think it's Campbell Ranch Pinot by the glass, and it's in this week. Delicious. Just had it. Let's see. Yeah, some Ristus Chardonnays, which are excellent. Some Arkenstone, which doesn't come in that often. Some Jeff Ames wines in this week, Boych family, and also a selection of Tor wines, Cabernets, and some Syrah. I think he's just a fantastic winemaker, and they're very, very good. I haven't had the Boych wines, frankly, very often. I've had a few, but not the more recent releases. Some Calera, some older Calera in, or at least a single bottle of Jensen, I think. Some Chapelet. Some Tixon Hill from Colgan, like a mini vertical, 13, 14, 15, 16. It's pretty cool. It's a fantastic vineyard just north of St. Helena up on the hill there. Yeah, you mentioned Continuum, great wines, and I feel like a lot less than what the mailing list is charging. Some Corson, yeah, some Della Valle, some great David Arthur wines, including the Sangiovese blend, the Meritaggio. They have bids already, so I missed those, but they are great and they're not expensive. $36 right now. There's also 1147 and some other, 3 Acre Vineyard or something, Cabernet, which I don't recognize. A bunch of Dellinger, Goldridge Pinot Noir, and some other ones. Oh, there's some Dietert, Cabernet Franc, 2010. Great stuff. And also the East Block, which is really, really good. It's right next to McDonald, if anyone's curious. Great wines. There's a bunch of dirty and rowdy wines. There's 19 Dominus. Yeah, you mentioned those early Dunhill Mountains, 91, 93, 95, little trio of great stuff. Some Islay, Altagracia, Sauvignon Blanc, a bunch of Evening Land, including some of the wines from France. I know this is the domestic podcast, but
Islay Sauvignon Blanc was kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But yeah, there's Evening Land, Occidental, and then there's the stuff from Seven Springs up in Oregon. Favia Rompecabezas, which they don't make anymore. Excellent stuff. Some Farron. Good deals on Frank family. Some Futo OVSL. Gwenac Beckstoffer, the Reserve Cab 94, which is super rare. Super tasty stuff. An old source of Beckstoffer Cabernet that you don't see much anymore. I think the winery or the label's no longer around. A bunch of Harlan. Let's see. Oh, yeah, the Helianthus, which is Futo's second label, 13, 14, 16, and 18. And they're not that expensive. There's a 13 Hobel Cab, which popped in. Don't ever see that. It's a really, really small mountain Cabernet that Thomas Brown makes for Cameron and Bahani Hobel. It's really, really good mailing list wine. And that's $71. There's Hourglass Magnums, 100 Acre Mag, Honada Wines, Jones family. Let's see. There's a bunch of Joseph Phelps Bacchus. There's Kongsgaard Chardonnay. There's some La Montour wines, older ones, which you don't see very often. Literai Haven Pinot. There's a bunch of Maître de Chai wines, or Maître de Chai, I think it's pronounced. Kierkegaard, Chenin Blanc, and Chardonnay. Mathiasen stuff. There's a little mini batch of Mayacamas Cab, some Mount Eden Cabs, Ovid, 13, 14, 15, 16, all less than the mailing list price. There's the hexameter from Ovid, just all kinds of cool stuff. Paradigm Cab, I always mention it because it's such a steal. 17 is $70. And there's 05 Merlot at 41. Pax Pangea Syrah Magnum at 210. That's a really cool bottle. There's some pot wines. We mentioned all the Peter Michaels, all the Realms, all the Ridge Montebello Vertical, basically 14 through 2020. Bunch of great, Mondavi Reserves. There's some Rocchioli Pinots. There's a bunch of Scolium projects if you like that kind of stuff. 94 Saddleback Cab for $45. If that was a good deal. There's a bunch of Schramsberg, J. Schramm Rosé. There's some more of our favorite Screaming Eagles. There's Seven Stones, looks like almost a vertical, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16. So kind of amazing to see these things in vertical formats. Obviously, somebody just unloaded a cellar full of incredible wines. I picked basically all the Turleys I picked too were like in the 45 and under range. And there's a ton of them, a lot of time on them. So they're probably all drinking great. There's some Whitcraft, there's Ulysses. And I think there's a Napa Valley Reserve course in this week again. And there's some Timeless, which is the Duncan family of Silver Oak fame. Timeless is the newer project. There's a 17 in this week. So just all kinds of really cool stuff.
A lot of amazing wine coming to auction, especially from the US. Keep an eye out because we're going to do our French episode as well this week, or I'm hoping we'll be able to get to that because there's a ton of really cool stuff coming in from France. For WineBid's Finally Hammered, this has been Paul Walker and Jeff Gurn wishing you happy bidding, and cheers.
Cheers.